are you gonna, is there any time you're gonna allow Mr. Grady to see this little boy, or are you just not gonna allow contact between Mr. Grady and the little boy?
Ma'am, I have done nothing but try to work with a schedule with this man
Okay, so
over and over and over again.
okay, stop.
I'm sorry, no. He will not. He will not.
Okay, that way he understands that and they can bring that up, there. So I would hope and I would beg you that if the child gets sick, like I am, or obviously kids get like tubes in their ears and stuff like that. Please, at least let him know
Okay, I can do that.
it's his child too, and hopefully y'all can work on something until then.
Welcome back to Family Court Drama. In today's episode, the plaintiff is seeking a temporary protection order against her child's father. She alleges that he has threatened her in the past and has been verbally abusive. Concerned for her child's safety due to what she believes are the father's poor decisions, she's not allowing him any unsupervised visits and has cut off his access to their child. The father, however, denies ever abusing her and claims she's blocking his access to their son out of spite. He's now filing a legitimation petition to establish his rights and secure visitation moving forward. Let's see what the judge thinks about this case.
I'm going to let you tell me what happened. Ms. Heron, do you want to make an opening or you just want to go straight into testimony?
I'm going straight into testimony unless Ms. Delva wants to give a short brief. Of course, I'm going to say my client didn't do what she's alleging. We have exhibits that show that. So other than that, I'll let her get started since she's pro se.
Okay, so Ms. Delva, what I like you to do is start from the most recent event and work backwards. I want to hear what Mr. Babb did to you specifically. You can't tell me what Mr. Babb did to somebody else or told somebody else to do to you, okay? Because then Ms. Heron's going to object to hearsay. So start with the most recent event, work backwards, and tell me what he did to you.
Okay, it started, well, the threat most recently started November. In November, I had text messages and everything. I don't know if I'm supposed to be showing you this now or later, but yeah, so November, he told me that we had a minor disagreement, and he told me that I was saving myself from a much needed ass whooping. I asked him if he was threatening me. He said, "Oh no."
I'm sorry, Your Honor. I can hear her, but it's muffled, so I'm not exactly sure what she's saying.
I don't know if it's because you're leaning your head back, but it is a little muffled, so you're kind of hard to understand.
My microphone is broken on my phone, so when I take it off of the speaker, I can't be heard. I mean, yeah, you can't hear me, but I can't hear you.
Okay, so how about when you talk, take it off, whatever you got to do, and then you can put it back so you can hear me. How about that?
Okay, I'll do that.
All right, go ahead.
Can you hear me now? Okay. Oh, sorry. Okay, so it started in November when he first told me that I was saving myself from a much needed ass whooping because I wasn't doing, he basically asked me to do something. He asked me to adjust the schedule last minute. I adjusted the schedule. Then he asked me to readjust the schedule to fit his needs. I had already adjusted my schedule, and he was basically saying that I needed to do what he was trying to get me to do. I eventually just let him have it his way, let him pick my son up. And he said, all I did was save myself from much needed ass whooping. I said, okay, we continued. And then fast forward to nothing ever happened. He just said words then. Fast forward to December. The very last time he had my son, it was a stormy night. He decided he had rented a Jeep. He then decided that since my son said, okay, Dad, don't you have a Jeep? Can't you drive in the woods? So he proceeded on his rainy night, rainy, dark 8 p.m. night to drive into the woods with my son. He got stuck in the mud. At first, I would not have known had I not gone to pick my son up, which he was actually trying to get me to avoid doing. And he wasn't going to tell me it happened. But since I still proceeded to pick him up, I found them on the side of the road, driving into the woods in a mudslide because, again, it was raining. And I picked my son up from him, and I did not send him back over there since that was the last time he saw him. Now, since then, he of course has been trying to get him. And in him doing so, he has threatened me again, threatened to track me down. He has popped up at my house twice. The second time I did have to call the police because he was refusing to leave. And now at this point, I'm just trying to stop it before it starts. I would prefer him to just stop contacting me altogether. I will say that even he makes bad decisions that my son is then a part of when he's with him. And as far as I go, I just am tired of the constant verbal abuse. He is also putting things in my son's head, like telling my son that I don't like him, that I'm mean to him, telling him that I'm abusing him, and things like that. My son is very smart. He grasps onto this. He gets this. And he like tells my son that I'm dressing him ugly for school. Like he's like putting in my son's head that I'm against him. He's constantly threatening to have take him for full custody, and I'm going to lose all of my rights, and I'm a horrible parent. My son doesn't need me, doesn't need to see me. It's just it's constant. It's constant. I've been trying to work with him for a minute now, and it's just getting worse. And he refuses to cooperate with me. He refuses to listen to anything I say. He is constantly going against me, just constantly threatening to for me to lose my rights. And now he's just threatening, oh, I'm going to pop up whenever. I'm not going to. I get very nervous when he's around at this point. It's getting to the point where I don't want it. I don't want him to pop up one day and do something to me simply because I can't communicate with him. And it's getting harder and harder to try to raise a child with him. And just the verbal harassment, just it's I'm trying to stop it before it starts, because honestly, him popping up at my house makes me very uncomfortable. He's much bigger than me. Like the very first time he popped up, I I was completely unprepared. It was like the crack of dawn. He's banging at my door. Like I couldn't even like I was not I didn't even record it because it was it was very yeah, but yeah, he's threatened me multiple times, and I just don't want it to get any worse than that.
All right, so you got to be specific.
I
Be specific about threats and stuff, because right now, I'm gonna be a little bit honest with you, is that what I hear is parenting issues.
Oh no.
Basically.
Okay, I'm
Okay, all right, so you're gonna have to be more specific, because right now, I have to be honest, all I hear is parenting issues.
No,
So
ma'am, I definitely threatened me.
Okay, but you haven't told me any, you haven't told me any dates that he said, hey, you know,
Oh, yeah, okay, I'm sorry. I
Carrie,
didn't
I'm
have
gonna
any-
come over there and break your legs. And she says, no, Alex, I'm gonna break your legs. That's a threat. So
He
that's what I
said-
need to hear.
Yeah, this was November 4th. He said, I prevented myself from getting a much needed ass whooping. Then after that, it was December 24th. He told me he had my tag, my license, and other sensitive pieces of information, and he will track me down. Then when he popped up at my house the first time, he was refusing to leave. He was trying to see what my son was. And again, I'm not really comfortable with my son being around him due to his decision making. So I was not trying to tell him, and him saying he's going to track me down, him popping up at my house, like it's getting to the point where he's not trying to, I feel very threatened. Like I'm not okay with him. And it's not just that. It's been a long list of him like he talks to me like I can't, like I have all of this. He's teaching my son gun movements. He's doing this and that. Like, I'm sorry. I'm really okay. I don't know exactly. I can show you the text messages and I can show you what I'm talking about. But no, he has not he's physically harmed me in the past, which is why I am nervous now. Because I've seen how he gets when things don't go his way. But since I can't communicate with him, I've tried to put him on child support so he can get visitation and everything, so he wouldn't even have to contact me. But since right now the only person he contacted me, he's just like bullying his way through this whole ordeal. And I'm very, like, when he pops up at my house, it makes me very uncomfortable. I live with my little sister and my son. Like, there's nobody here to protect me if he does decide that he wants to come rampaging into my house because he's upset that we can't come to an agreement. I've told him we can come to an agreement with the court so he does not have to worry about seeing him at all. But he's and honestly, it worries me for my son to go over there because he does not make good decisions, because he is constantly trying to turn my son against me. My son comes home and he's acting worse. He's acting different. He's saying that I don't love him and things like that. And I'm trying to explain this to his father. His father has made it known, made it very clear that he does not care how I feel about how he is turning my son against me. He has told me, well, my son, I say, you teach my son not to respect me. He's like, well, my son knows to respect people that deserve it. Like, it's very hard to communicate with him. So even in that sense, me trying to come up with a some type of visitation schedule is hard because I cannot speak to him. So now at this point, I am choosing to, we can take it to court and the court can tell me when he can be seen and stuff like that. He does not have to talk to me, because when he talks to me, he is abusing, like he is going crazy. He is talking down on me, calling me bums, calling me a slave and this and that and things like that. Like, it's, I literally cannot communicate with this man. So I'm choosing not to. And in me choosing not to, he is starting to pop up at my house and threaten not to leave, telling me he's going to track me down, telling me like, ma'am, I am uncomfortable and I am scared.
Okay.
So I'm honestly not, like, I can show you the messages and things. I can show you the video of him having my son in the woods.
If you'd like to show evidence, go ahead. You have to share your screen.
Okay, can you see it?
It says sharing screen, so I don't, if you're gonna play an audio, okay, I see little text messages.
So here is the video of when I pulled up. I was picking my son up. They were off on the side of the road. I don't know if you can, let me see.
Baby up, he's
Let's
down the
see.
street, stuck in the mud. Why are you off-roading?
I'm gonna skip to where I actually walked up to him in the car.
This is what I deal with. What the
It's
fuck?
raining. It's dark.
Wow.
They're off the road,
Okay.
heading into the woods because they mud.
This is, and it's slippery as hell.
I almost fell trying to get down to here. There we go. Let me start.
Right here.
So what was the idea here? Just
That was just impulsive, really. Not much of an idea.
of course, fucking impulsive. You're in the trees
Yeah.
because you got a Jeep, I assume.
Yeah. He was like, Dad, can't you drive in the woods? Like, you know what? We sure can.
Why would you teach him that this is a gun?
I mean, nah, but look,
no,
the thing to focus on, you got to focus on
Focus on the fact that you're
the
in
bad
the
decision.
woods.
Right, because it's wet. So what you got to
Because you're
understand is
impulsive.
you
Because it
can't
makes no
drive
sense. This makes no
through the
sense.
woods when it's wet.
You can't drive
Okay,
through the woods at
because of
all. So
mud.
where was y'all about to go? It's trees right there.
Nah, it's a whole little thing.
Okay,
back
but that's not. And then come hi, hey boo, hi boo. I let you stay a whole extra day. Don't start with me. Come on. And I'll look
From there, I kind of just walked back to the car.
good into trees.
Here, perfectly fine.
Straight guys, y'all.
He thinks nothing of this. He's perfectly normal with this. After that, you can see where he says, this is where he's texting me, trying to tell me that he can stay an extra day if I need him to. Oh, he's fine. I'm like, no, it's okay. He doesn't need to stay an extra day. You know, I can come pick him up. He has to go to school in the morning. He's like, we're stuck at the bottom of the hill. I'm like, okay, what do you mean you're stuck? Do you need help? I can come get you. So then I called him and he told me he was down the street. So after the video, this is the messages after the video. He's saying that, let him know that I'm not stuck anymore in the tow truck. And he knew, like, I told him, let me see. I'm sorry. I'm trying to get this all together. So he went to school the next day. He was acting up, and I let his father know that. And then this is where he says, I said something about him crying. Oh yeah, my son did let him say, I like going to my dad's house. He likes to let me be dad. But okay, yeah. So he knew it was bad. He's like, he just goes into me telling him that. Oh, I'm sorry. Let's see. I really tried to put this in order. Um, Look, he says, I knew we could get stuck, but it didn't matter. The best direction he will see will come from God and his father. Like he is outside of that, and I'm sorry, this is hard to navigate. Um, and this is where he told me I was saving myself from much needed ass whooping right there. And he also told me that's where he's threatening to keep him away from me. So yes, oh my God. But let me see. But yeah, that's really the last time he had my son, and that was the very last time I decided to just yeah, that I decided it's just too hard for me to try to communicate with him, which is why I'm now like we can go through the courts if you really feel like I'm being unfair, but I can't communicate with you because again, all you do is call me names and make it very hard to communicate with you. So I don't agree with his parenting style, but that ain't his style. I understand that. But as far as him communicating with me and popping up on my doorstep and banging on my door and threatening to do this, that, and the third, I'm not okay with that. I prefer he didn't contact me really at all. If we could somehow, even if we set up visitation, there are people we go through maybe, I don't know, but at this point it's constant harassment, constant verbal, and it's just getting worse as time goes on. Like this has been, I could show you the entire folder. It's probably like 200 pieces in there. That's why it's really hard for me to try to organize this the most recent, but yeah, that's where I'm.
All right, so I'm sure when Ms. Heron crosses you, that there's going to be things that you say about him, that he's a bad dad or he's whatever, but it was, I forget if the judge just said this, like, this is just one child. This child is in the world because of the two of you. Maybe y'all made lousy choices on who you're going to make a child with, but you made the child. And if so, if it's a lousy choice, then that's y'all's problem. That's not the child's problem. That's not my problem. No matter what either of you think, this child is half of both of you. So when you say something bad about him in front of your child, and when he says something bad about you in front of your child, you're both telling your child that half of them is bad. Half of them is worthless. Half of them is stupid. Half of them aren't responsible, because that's what you're saying. You're telling that child half of them is bad. Like that's really an unforgivable thing to do to a child, because how are they going to shake that? All they're going to know is half of them is bad. So that's not making them think bad about him. It's not making that kid think bad about you. That child is internalizing that and feeling bad about them, and it will destroy them the more you talk bad about the other parent in front of them. If you say that was stupid that he took you out there and got stuck in the mud, that it affects these children like nobody completely understands. And I hope, and from the bottom of my heart, that neither of you want to do something like that to your child, y'all's child. It's your son, both of you. It's not yours, mine, his, yours, it's them. But this, and I'll let you keep going. So the one thing I hate more than anything is when somebody is bad mouthing the other parent, and Miss Heron knows this, in front of this child. Like I said, you're destroying half of this child. They realize they're half you, they're half him. You parents have to stop doing that. And I mean, he was stuck in the mud. Okay, it looked like he had a California tag. I mean, if he didn't live in the part of California where they have mudslides, he may not be familiar with driving in the mud and driving in the woods.
It was dangerous. That's what I wanted him to understand, that you can't make impulsive decisions like that with our child.
Well, I don't know how, I mean, he was just stuck on the side of the road, and he doesn't necessarily, look like it was probably a brand new car. I'm sure he wasn't going to drive it like in there mud bogging in a brand new or newer kind of car. I mean, I grew up on motorcycles and four-wheelers, and I've had Jeeps. Favorite car was my CJ6 and CJ7. I hate that I got rid of them, but it's not dangerous to go out in the woods and tear it up. I tore up Vermont with that thing. So, Ms. Aaron, do you have questions?
I do, and Your Honor, I think it's just a country thing. I will say, yes, looking at the petition, when I saw this, I automatically thought she was saying he just ran off the road, and talking to my client, and I'll have him testify, but I hadn't heard anything to uphold a TPO, 12-month TPO. But when I saw it, it was more so, and talking to my client, it was more so, I'm from the country, so this was more of a country thing. Four-wheelers, Jeeps. It's my understanding it was a Jeep Wrangler, and it was just more so. It is the actual trail. But Miss Delva, I do have a question for you, and I want to direct your attention to my screen, and I want you to, first of all, I'll have to play the video so you can identify yourself, okay? So, and it's about a 3-minute video. And when you actually reference that he threatened you, he was banging on a door in your petition, I just want to see if this is the incident that you're referring to. So I'm going to go ahead and play it, okay? Can you see my screen first of all? You see the cars in the screen? Okay. All right.
Proceed. Everybody on the team is a leadership here. So weird.
Here is your reminder. Do take advantage. Here is your reminder. Do take advantage.
I'm sorry, warning, it is a 3-minute video, 3 minutes and 23 seconds.
Oh, absolutely.
You're right. You better one. Yeah, I'm here. You'll be my child. Hey, chill. I know. So you loan him out. So you loan him out to someone. So you loan him out to someone. Yeah. Who does? Really? Obviously. Okay, so where is it?
Here's where his.
Who? I mean, you got multiple.
He did.
Y'all tell me who?
This one, this guy is fault.
Yeah, good morning. So you're not gonna tell me who? All right, well, I'll be back. Yeah. I think it's already up. All right.
You said what?
I thought you would already be up.
I literally you woke me up.
Okay, well, thank you for the conversation.
Now, I want to ask you, do you identify yourself in that video? Ms. Delva?
Can't hear you, Miss Delva.
And that's the incident that you're actually referencing when you actually say he was banging on your door. He threatened you when he was there. And we did hear him say he'll be back, but he threatened that he was going to be back. Is that correct? Ms. Delva?
Miss Delva. Can't hear you.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about.
That's the incident you're referring to. And the other incident that you're referring to in your petition is exactly what we saw, the video that you played where Mr. Grady was stuck in the mud. And you would agree that both of you guys are not in the best co-parenting position right now. Is that correct?
What exactly do you mean by that? As far as like us being able to communicate effectively?
That too, yes.
Well, that you said that too. What else are you referring to?
Well, when you actually referenced that you guys, you needed a plan in place, there needs to be some kind of visitation in place. He doesn't respect you as the mother. When you were saying all of that, would you agree that that's part of like a co-parenting issue?
Oh, okay. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And if you guys got this co-parenting issue down, you'd be in a better place. Is that correct?
I'm sorry, say that one more time.
If you guys got this co-parenting down, you guys would be in a better place. Is that correct?
I believe that would be correct, but that wouldn't really stop him from his actions. As far as what he's saying and putting in my son's head, I don't speak about him like that to my child. I actually don't speak about him at all to my child. If me and my child speak about him, it's because my child has said, "Oh, my daddy did this," and I'm like, "Oh, really? That's so cool. Oh, my daddy bought me these. Oh my gosh, they're amazing." But on my end, it's, "Oh, your mom with those? Those are ugly. Oh, those are lame. Oh, your mom's mean. Oh, your mom's like," he's come home and said, "Oh, my daddy said you're lame. My daddy said you're mean." I don't see how visitation would change that.
Okay. Your Honor, I have no further questions, but I'd like to move for a dismissal. I hadn't heard anything that would uphold a 12-month or even just a temporary protective order in place.
I would like it for me.
Miss Delva,
I feel like we're talking about against my son, but I'm talking about for me.
would you like to respond to her motion to dismiss?
I'm sorry, I don't want to dismiss.
Well, I'm sure you don't, but do you want to respond to her motion saying that you didn't prove your case?
I feel like I did. I feel like I did. So, I mean, I showed a little bit, but it's a longevity of him speaking like this. Like I could show more. I didn't.
Ms. Heron, is there a legitimation case?
He has hired me for a legitimation case. So when he hired me for this case, it was for legitimation as well.
Okay, so it's going to be in Fulton County?
Fulton County. Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so Ms. Delva, I'm going to deny it. I don't think that you proved anything. You proved there's going to be some parenting issues. And both of you kind of need to get a grip on what's going on. I know she says you say stuff, Mr. Grady, and I'm sure you're going to say, "No, I'm perfect like she is," and she says it. Whatever happens, you know, but just
I
so
can
you know,
show you on
just
my
so you
phone
know,
where
there's
he
going to be
admits
a
to the fact
judge
that he
that's
knows
going
that
to
he
hear
speaks down.
this case for the legitimation, who's going to come up with a parenting plan and is going to set parameters as to the days you get to see your child, the day you don't get to see your child, and vice versa. So how old is this child, Ms. Heron?
4, I believe.
4. This is a time right now where this is your child together. 4 years old. This is when this child needs time with both parents. Needs to get. It's a little boy.
Oh, yes, Your Honor, it is.
So there you go. He needs a good, strong male figure, his dad in his life. He needs his mom in his life so that we can raise this kid up to be a productive guy of society. And he needs both of you. He doesn't need either of you to be doing anything, making a big deal because Mr. Grady doesn't know how to go four-wheeling in his Jeep. and get stuck. That's not a big deal. Like I said, Tag said California. He needs to meet somebody from here with a good thick accent that'll teach him how to do it. So everybody be good for this kid. It's going to be dismissed. But Mr. Grady, you have heard Ms. Taryn, and
I have a question.
what is it?
So I'm just supposed to wait for him to be upset. So what does this mean? Do we just wait for the legitimation papers and then we decide on him seeing him? Because at this current moment, I'm uncomfortable with it.
Your Honor, I'm happy to go into a breakout room with her because I'd love for her to acknowledge service on that. And so I'm happy to go into a breakout room with her and kind of discuss that, or offline if she wants to give me her contact information, and I'll contact her for that. But the other thing is my client is asking for attorney's fees. I will say with today, I've only spent about 3.5 hours on this case, so not much time at $3.50 an hour, but he is asking for a reimbursement of his attorney's fees because clearly this case was a frivolous case.
Ms. Delva, would you like to speak with Ms. Heron? Sasha's here from Safe Families. I mean, and she could go in there with you. She's not going to give you any legal advice, but she can be in there with you to make you feel comfortable while Ms. Heron's speaking with you. And Ms. Heron will talk to you about, acknowledging the legitimation papers and going forward then, because of right now, Mr. Grady, as I'm sure Ms. Heron's told you, you don't have any right. I have just as many rights to your son as you do, which is not. So this is something you guys should really get moving on down the road so that this child gets pulled out of the middle and gets to be a kid and enjoy both his parents like he should. Ms. Delva, would you like to go into a breakout room with Ms. Heron, and I could put Sasha from Safe Families in there with you?
How would I do that?
I'm going to put you in there. Sasha, you mind going in there too? All right.
Yes. And as far as these attorney fees, what does that mean?
I can do an affidavit, Your Honor, but I've only spent 3.5. That was mainly prepping my client because we weren't here that long today. But that includes prepping my client and getting some other documents that we needed to get. But that amounts to about $1,225.
All right. You guys go into that breakout room. Go ahead and join, all of you. And when you come back, I'll hear from her about that. So join that breakout room. Mr. Grady, you'll stay here while she talks to Ms. Delva. Sasha, I'll put you in there too. Erin, how did it go?
Yes, Your Honor, I spoke. There's Ms. Delva. Okay, I did speak with Ms. Delva. She does not feel comfortable right now acknowledging service, and that's fine. She's pro se. I don't want to push her to anything. I did ask her just to give me her email address. I'll send her the documents anyway. And if she wants to at least look them over and talk to somebody and see about acknowledging, but as of now, she doesn't feel comfortable moving forward. So we are still, my client is still asking for 3.5 hours. He certainly paid more than 3.5 hours, but the other portion will go to his legitimation. But 3.5 hours at $3.50 an hour is what we actually spent in getting this case ready.
So, Ms. Delva, are you gonna? Is there any time you're gonna allow Mr. Grady to see this little boy, or are you just not gonna allow contact between Mr. Grady and the little boy?
Ma'am, I have done nothing but try to work with a schedule with this man over and over and over again.
Okay, stop.
I'm sorry, no, he will not.
Okay, that way he understands that, and they can bring that up, there. So, I would hope and I would beg you that if the child gets sick, like I am, or obviously kids get like tubes in their ears and stuff like that. Please, at least let him know.
Okay, I can do that.
It's his child too, and hopefully y'all can work on something until then. Ms. Heron, what I'll do is, if you want, you can, we can.
I don't want to do an affidavit. I just want the court to know what I was asking for.
I'll tell you what you want to do. Do you want to do me something, a short paragraph, or add it and send it in the legitimation case, and I'll sign the order that they can take that up in legitimation, what you spent here?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, and you can just send it. And I'll send it there, and that way, who's it assigned to? Has it been filed yet?
It's not been filed yet. We were focused on this, but it's been drafted and it's going to be going out today to be filed.
Okay, so once you get that case number, you can send it to me and I'll sign it so they could take that up in the legitimation case, what was here, and you can let whoever that is know what happened, okay?
Okay, thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you both.
And may we be excused.
Absolutely. Y'all have a
Thank
good.
you, Your Honor.
I hope you
Thank
feel
you.
good. You sound horrible, but you look good.
Thank you, Ms. Herod. Have a good day.
You too. Bye-bye.
What an interesting case. The judge ultimately denied the temporary protection order, ruling that the mother failed to prove why a TPO was necessary. Despite this, she still refuses to let the father see the child, so he'll have to continue pursuing the legitimation petition to secure his parental rights. What do you think? Is the mother being vindictive by withholding access, or could there be more to this story? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe.